Howdy folks, hope you're all having a good one, and welcome to another episode of Mingles with Jingles. I'm having a good one, despite receiving what is... How can I put this? I have some bad news, and I have some good news. But the bad news isn't actually that bad and isn't coming as a surprise to anybody. The bad news is that the biopsy results came back, and I 100% definitely have bowel cancer. However, this comes as a surprise to nobody. If you recall the story from last week's episode of Mingles with Jingles, I had the colonoscopy. They found something that looked suspiciously like cancer. They removed a couple of polyps as well. They took a sample from the probably cancer, sent it off to the lab for biopsies to be done. And then they scheduled me for a CT scan, which I had. The CT scan and the biopsy results were due to be discussed the following Tuesday with the surgeon at the hospital. So I turned up. CT scan was clear. Whatever it was hadn't spread. And while everybody in the room knew it was cancer, because the biopsy results hadn't come back yet, nobody could actually say it's cancer, even though everybody knew it was. I mean, the surgeon had been around the block a few times. He knows what cancer looks like. So, we're in this faintly ridiculous situation where everybody knows I have bowel cancer, but you can't actually book a surgery date without a cancer confirmation, and for that you needed the biopsies. Right. So everybody basically did everything that they could to get the ball rolling short of booking a surgery date. Well, this week the biopsy results came back. It is cancer. The polyps were benign, by the way, nothing to worry about there. But it is just stage 1 cancer. It's a tiny little thing, it's only about an inch across, it has not spread anywhere, and it's easily treatable with keyhole surgery. 3 to 5 days in hospital, done. Nice and easy. The question was just how long I was going to have to wait for a surgery date. So they said they'd get back to me as soon as they had a date. And 2 days later they got back to me and said, the surgeon's had a cancellation. Are you free to come in on Thursday? 4 days from now. Yeah, I am. So tomorrow I have to head up to the hospital for a pre-surgery meeting, and then on Thursday at 7 a.m. in the morning I'm getting this little bastard cut out of me. Now fortunately, I really have been extraordinarily lucky. First, we caught it good and early because I didn't mess around when I realised that there might be a problem after discovering blood in the toilet after taking a dump. It's easily treatable. It doesn't require open surgery, so I should just be in and out of the hospital within a couple of days and then back home and, well, if not good as new, then at least cancer-free. Obviously I'm still going to be recovering for a week or two because it is still surgery, even if it's just keyhole surgery. They only have to remove a small section of my lower bowel, either side of the tumour. And also, because of where it's located, if it had been 4 or 5 inches closer to my arsehole, the surgery would have been a bit more complicated, but since it is where it is, I even get to keep my arsehole. So I won't be shitting into a bag for the rest of my life. Probably. So, this is bad news. Nobody wants to be told they have cancer, but it hasn't come as a surprise to anybody, and it's the best possible bad news I could have had. But this is also one of the reasons why, back when I was initially told, well, I was actually told I had cancer, which was a mistake. What the doctor should have said was, there's a chance you might have cancer, we need to get you in for but this is ancient history at this point. But back when I first got the news and related it to you guys, a whole bunch of you were saying, Jingles, set up a GoFundMe, we'll happily donate. And I didn't want to do that because, well, 2 reasons. One, there are no medical expenses. We have socialised medicine here in the UK, so it isn't costing me, well, it's not free. I've been paying for it my whole life in my taxes, but I'm not in any danger of losing my home in order to pay for the medical expenses. I shudder to think how much this would all cost anywhere where you don't have socialised medicine. And if that had been the case, then yeah, maybe a GoFundMe would have been necessary in order to pay for the medical bills, but there are no medical bills. The only thing I was worried about was because we didn't know how far developed the cancer was until very recently. This could have been fatal, and I needed to get this mortgage paid off in order to ensure that, my cats are going to be taken care of. And Rita, who lives with me, isn't going to be made homeless and will therefore be able to take care of the cats, because she always promised if anything ever happened to me, she'd look after the girls. So that was the biggest concern. But at the same time, I also didn't want to start a GoFundMe for that, because I just didn't know how bad it was going to be. I mean, there was a distinct possibility this was going to kill me, but now that I know this is no longer the case, I wanted to hold off any kind of fundraising until I knew I was going to need it. And now I know I don't need it. Probably. Because, I mean, you know, you go in for surgery under general anaesthetic, there's a chance, I mean, people die under general anaesthetic just as a reaction to the anaesthetic, but there's a very, very slim chance that that's going to happen. Basically, it's extremely likely that I'm going to be fine. Come Thursday, I'll be a bit stiff, a bit sore, but hopefully cancer-free and not in any immediate danger of dying. There may be a round of chemotherapy after the surgery, just to make 100% absolutely sure they got everything, but I don't know. We'll see. What this does mean, however, is that there may be a slight interruption to my video upload schedule over the course of the next week or so, on account of being in hospital, having my guts removed. So don't go expecting any video uploads over the weekend, because I'll be in hospital. I don't know how quickly our, normal service will be resumed. Like I said, 3 to 5 days in hospital, and I don't know, maybe, certainly, hopefully, at some point next week, normal service will resume. I certainly want to get back to it as soon as I possibly can, because, 3 to 5 days in hospital on my ass, it's going to be boring as hell, so I'm going to need something to do as soon as I get back home. But I'll keep you all updated, probably in the form of YouTube shorts from my hospital bed, just to keep everybody in the loop as to exactly what's going on. So, bad news, I have bowel cancer. Comes as a surprise to nobody, and it is really the best possible bad news anybody could have had, because it's entirely treatable, and by this time next week, hopefully, I will be cancer-free. I'll still have diabetes, of course, but the diabetes is fine. That's completely manageable, and entirely self-inflicted, by the way. I've got nobody to blame but myself for that. Man of my age, guzzling 2 to 3 cans of full-fat Coke every day, as well as all of the other crap I shoveled down my neck. Something like type 2 diabetes is 100% avoidable. Nobody but myself to blame for that. So I've, of course, had to cut out basically all the sugar from my diet. And it was hard, but it's amazing how quickly you adapt. The hardest thing was cutting sugar out of my coffee, because I used to have 2 heaped teaspoons of sugar in every cup of coffee that I had. And as well as the 2 to 3 cans of full-fat Coke every day, I was guzzling 3 or 4 cups of coffee as well. Cutting the sugar out of just about everything else was easy, but not the coffee. I managed to get it down over the course of about 2 weeks to 1 level teaspoon of sugar in my coffee, but going completely sugar-free was just bleh. I thought I'm just going to have to stop drinking coffee, because I just couldn't drink coffee without any form of sweetener in it. And then I thought, well, actually, yeah, it doesn't have to be sugar, does it? I'll give sweetener a try. Now, I'd tried coffee with sweetener in it before, and it was bloody awful. But I think because I basically cut all of the sugar out of my diet over the course of 2 weeks, the sweetener, it worked. It tasted fine. I mean, it wasn't the same, but it wasn't bad. And it was the same thing with sugar-free drinks. Because the reason why I always drank full-fat Coke was because I loved the taste of full-fat Coke. And previously I'd tried stuff like Diet Coke and Pepsi Max, and they just tasted awful. But because I'd been more or less 100% sugar-free for 2 weeks, I tried sugar-free juice, soft drinks. Call them sodas, I think, in America. And I wasn't expecting to like them. But, they were fine. They actually tasted quite nice. So there's basically 0 sugar in my diet now, aside from, the sugars that naturally occur in the foods that you eat. Carbohydrates in particular are a bit of a problem because, sugar is a carbohydrate. But all you have to do is just avoid foods that naturally contain a lot of sugar. Somewhat counterintuitively, you should probably start avoiding things like fruit juice. Even though, everybody says, drink lots of fruit. Drink lots of fruit, eat lots of fruit, drink lots of fruit juice, it's good for you. And yeah, but it's loaded with sugar. And don't be fooled when you see the labelling that says no added sugar. That doesn't mean it's sugar-free. You know what else has no added sugar? Sugar. Right. It's only a matter of time before advertising companies start putting no added sugar on the packaging of bags of sugar. The other thing that's good for you if you have diabetes, or if you don't want to get diabetes, is just to avoid eating processed foods. All these ready meals and shit that you buy from the supermarkets, meals for one, meals for two, pre-packaged, just slap it in the microwave for 10 minutes and done. Just no. Cook stuff from fresh. It's cheaper, it's better for you, and it tastes better. I appreciate that for a lot of people though, this sort of thing is a lot easier said than done, because not everybody has the luxury of having access to a proper kitchen where they can actually cook stuff from fresh. There's a lot of people out there living in shared accommodation, or just living in a single room, and the only thing they have access to is maybe a microwave. So that's, that kind of sucks. But if packaged and processed food is all that you really have access to, then just start looking at the nutrition labels. Labels? English is hard. Start looking at the nutrition labels. Have a look at the amount of sugar in it at the back. Have a look at the carbohydrates and the percentage of those carbohydrates that are sugars. And just look for the stuff that's, if not sugar-free, then at least low in sugar, because diabetes is 100% avoidable. Again, I'm fortunate enough to live in a place where my diabetes medication doesn't cost me anything. Not everybody has that privilege. If you find yourself waking up in the morning and your mouth is bone dry, like literally, you run your tongue over the roof of your mouth and it feels like sandpaper scraping on sandpaper, you might want to get yourself checked out, because that's a classic sign of adult onset type 2 diabetes. Also, if you've noticed that your eyesight's deteriorated suddenly over the course of a couple of months, that's also a sign that you might be diabetic. I actually have an eye screening. I know I am diabetic, but it can also affect your eyesight. So I've got an eye screening coming up next month as well to find out if anything needs to be done there. Because I had noticed, sitting here in front of the computer, squinting at the video editing software, is that an Alba or is it a Miyoko? Can't tell, because my eyesight has suffered. It's pointless going for an eye test if you're at this stage as well, because, you need to wait at least 3 months, if you have been diagnosed as diabetic, for the medication and the change in your diet to take effect. And it may be that your eyesight will then suddenly correct itself. But again, it's another one of those signs. There are all of these early symptoms and indications that you might be suffering from something. And in my case, I just, it's not like with the bowel cancer where you're shitting blood out of your arse. That's a fairly major indicator that something might be wrong. Go and see a doctor. With diabetes, things like a dry mouth, that might just be because you fall asleep on your back with your mouth open, you snore a lot, and you wake up with a dry mouth. Sitting here squinting at the computer all day. I wear glasses anyway, so my eyesight wasn't fantastic in the first place, and your eyesight will deteriorate over time as you get older. There are all kinds of explanations for these things that might not necessarily be diabetes. At the same time, however, if you are guzzling 2 to 3 cans of full-fat Coke every day, you have 2 heaped spoons of sugar in 3 or 4 cups of coffee every day, and you guzzle chocolate like it's going out of fashion, and you're experiencing these kind of symptoms, might be worth getting it checked out. And it's almost always going to be worth cutting down on the amount of sugar in your diet in the first place. Because I'm kind of fortunate in that a lot of the stuff that it's recommended you do to adapt your diet when you are diagnosed with diabetes is the kind of stuff that I was doing anyway, because eggs are fine. You can eat as many eggs as you like. Cheese is fine. You can eat as much cheese as you like, which honestly, if I had to cut cheese out of my diet, I'd be like, nah, screw it, I'll just die. And I wasn't really eating processed foods anyway. It's just all of the sugary drinks that I was consuming. So I've had to stop that, and I do feel a lot better for it. I never thought I would, but the changes. Sometimes you get diagnosed with diabetes, you don't even need to go on medication. Just adjusting your diet will be enough. The thing is, they won't know for 3 months, because that's how long it takes for all the sugar to work itself out of your blood. And it may be that after 3 months, I go back, I have some more tests, and I can come off the medication. Maybe not, don't know. We'll find out in 2 months. The side effects of the medication are a little intense. Is it the medication that got me on? It's called metformin. You're supposed to take 4 500 milligram tablets a day. Must be taken with food. So, and again, this necessitated big changes in my lifestyle, because I would never eat breakfast or lunch. I would literally get up. My breakfast would be a cup of coffee and a cigarette, and then I might have a snack mid-afternoon, and then I would eat nothing until very late at night, waiting until Rita had finished streaming, and then I would do a table-bending amount of dinner for both of us, and then go straight to bed. It's a hilariously unhealthy way of living. So as a result of having to take this medication, I have to have breakfast. Breakfast for me usually consists of, and again, something that I never thought I would like, Greek yogurt, frozen fruit. And it's fantastic. And I just feel so much better every day, because I'm not starving myself and then consuming a massive plate of food right before going to bed. And of course, the reason that I'm having 2 decent meals every day is because I have to take this medication with food. So what ideally they want you to do is to take 4 of these 500 milligram pills every day. So 2 with breakfast, 2 with your dinner. The thing is, there's a limit to how much your body can tolerate, and everybody's different. Some people have no problem taking 4 of these pills a day. Some people can only take 3, some people can only take 2, some people can only take 1. I imagine there may be some unfortunate buggers out there who can't tolerate any of them, in which case they have to give them a different medication. A more expensive medication, which is why they give you this one first. But anyway, so first I tried 1 a day. I'd have 1 with dinner, and that was fine. So after a couple of days of that, I said, okay, I'll have 1 with breakfast and then 1 with dinner. And that was fine. Then after a couple of days, I said, all right, I'll have 1 with breakfast and then I'll have 2 with dinner. That wasn't fine. The next morning, I experienced the side effects of exceeding my body's maximum tolerable limit of these pills in full force. I was shitting through the eye of a needle. Explosive diarrhea. So, yeah, back down to 2 a day, I think, which is the most I can handle. But that's fine, because, 2 of these a day is better than none of these a day. So, yeah, the diabetes, 100% my own fault, but it's being managed, and I'm really not concerned. If you're experiencing those kind of symptoms, though, the ones that I mentioned, waking up with a bone-dry mouth or a sudden and unexplained deterioration in your eyesight, and there's a lot of sugar in your diet, you might consider getting yourself checked, because you can avoid a lot of unnecessary expense, and also, with some modifications to your diet, you won't have to cut out all of your favourite stuff completely if you nip it in the bud nice and early. In other news this week, because today's episode of Mingles or Jingles is all about me, I ended up falling for a scam this week. Don't worry, I didn't get contacted by any Nigerian princes asking me to transfer hundreds of thousands of dollars out of the country. I wasn't that dumb. Not quite. Although in my defence, when you hear the circumstances, it's kind of understandable how I might have fallen for it. First, you have to understand that I probably get targeted with a lot more scams than you do. Because as well as all the usual, Nigerian prince scams and that sort of stuff, I also get targeted with some influencer-specific ones, all kinds of fake offers for sponsorships from people claiming to be representing, big companies, when they clearly aren't. A lot of them are really, really easy to spot. But what happened this week? You see, I'd ordered some, I can't remember what it was now. Oh, that's right, some senior cat food for Juicy. So it was being delivered by a courier here in the UK called Every. On the day that the delivery went out, I got a text from Every saying that they hadn't been able to deliver, and could I schedule redelivery? Click on this link. So I clicked on the link. I know what you're thinking, never click on it, but here's the thing. I was actually expecting a parcel that day from this very company when I received the text telling me that they hadn't been able to deliver. So I clicked on the link and it said, there's a redelivery fee. And I thought, oh right, yeah. But it was only $2.99, which seemed reasonable, not excessive. So click here to pay. So I went to the payment screen and I got a notification from my bank saying, are you sure about this? I was like, yeah, sure. Enter this code. So I entered the code, and then I got another notification from the bank instantly saying, we have blocked this transaction, a payment of £100, not $2.99, a payment of £100 to whoever this was, and it definitely wasn't the courier. So, yeah. This, of course, necessitated instantly shutting down my debit card. So the bank had to issue me with a new one, and I had to go onto the phone and get lectured about not replying to scam emails and clicking on links and so on and so on. But the thing was, this is not normally the sort of thing that I would have even remotely fallen for, except I was expecting a package from this courier on the same day that somebody claiming to be that courier sent me a text saying they hadn't been able to deliver. Please reschedule redelivery by clicking on this link. Oh, and by the way, there's a $2.99 redelivery charge. And of course, if the bank hadn't stopped it, that £100 charge would have gone through. They would have then instantly known that I was a sucker. They had all of my details and they would have cleared out my bank account. And that would have been really, really bad. But the bank's anti-fraud procedures stopped it. So either one of two things is happening here. Either, first possibility, by 1,000,000 to 1 coincidence, I got targeted by a scammer posing as the exact same delivery company that I just happened to have ordered a delivery from on the very day that the delivery went out. Or somebody working for this courier is working hand in hand with the scammers and sending them the details of each day's deliveries so that after the delivery's gone out, but before it's been delivered, so that they can target the addressee with this phone text scam, which, as a lot of them do, looked, unless you're actually checking the URL at the top of the page, which I really should have spotted, but looks, aside from that, 100% genuine. But because you are actually expecting a delivery from that company on the day that you get the text, it makes it much more likely that you're going to fall for it. And yeah, much to my shame, I fell for it. Fortunately, my bank's anti-fraud prevention measures saved my ass, and I just had to go through the minor inconvenience of having a new debit card issued. So yeah, I'm a sucker, I fell for it, and I'm telling you about it so you can, well, not fall for it yourselves. I failed to follow the golden rule: never, ever click on a link in a text or an email unless you are 100% positive that it's genuine. And even if you are 100% positive that it's genuine, still don't click the link. Go to the company's website directly and check there first, because 9 times out of 10, somebody's trying to scam you. So, this week's Mingles.business. I'm just full of the cautionary tales this week, aren't I? But hey, I'll go through all of this shit, so you don't have to. I guess that's it for the week. So yeah, great news. Cancer treatment, Thursday, 7 o'clock in the morning. That's going to be painful. Having to get to the hospital using public transport at 7 a.m. But it's all in a good cause because, well, this time next week, I should be 100% cancer-free. We can but hope. As promised, I'll keep you up to date. Thank you to all of you for your messages of support. It is genuinely appreciated. And as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.